Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you're on the air with Power Squared. This week we're going to talk about our experience at WonderCon 2023, which was last weekend. Right?
Yeah.
We went down on, it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we went down on Saturday. Right?
Yes.
And what was your impression?
Well, it felt different this time. It feels like not sure if there were more people than there were before. Or
less.
Yeah. That was hard to say because whether or not there were more or less people depended on who you asked.
Right. And it also may depend where you were on the floor.
Yeah, there were places where it was dead empty.
Yeah, there were places over by the 100 row and stuff,
Yeah.
or it was, unless you were in line for Funko, there was really no line over there.
Yeah. Or you were there for the signings at $7 a pop.
Right.
And even then, that was more contained.
Right. And that wasn't $7 a pop, was it? No.
They do have things that are $7.
Okay.
Just not what they were doing there.
Right. Okay. Well, it was it was kind of weird. There was no major publisher there.
No.
I mean, not even a minor publisher. I mean,
no. I know we've seen IDW at WonderCon before.
Right.
Or Dark Horse, but they just weren't there.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know if that means foreshadows something for Comic-Con or.
I don't know. I mean, Aspen was there, but that's Aspen. Not knocking Aspen.
No, but they're not a major.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, there were whole sections where it was not very busy, and there were places where there was empty booths.
Yeah.
And there were some booths where you could tell that somebody had arranged for it but hadn't shown up. I just think that's I don't know. It almost made, as I think I joked while we were there, we could just set up at someone's booth and sell Power Squared. So that was kind of disappointing. I was hoping to find some place to look for new graphic novels or something. Really, and there really wasn't any.
No.
There was a lot of manga and stuff, but that's not really. A lot of it wasn't in English.
Yeah. There were also other smaller groups that we hadn't heard of.
Right. And it was the thing I noticed when the times we've been to LA Comic Con.
Yeah.
Is that there's at least more at LA Comic Con. There's non-comic book or entertainment related things.
Yeah. And
here there was it was a big display. It was like a nursing school or something.
Yeah.
And that was sort of a little okay, off the mark, kind of, you know what I mean? And
maybe they were desperate for exhibitors.
That may be. And it was a very large booth. I'm sure they made a lot of money off of them, but it just seemed to be kind of if you went to Comic-Con and saw that, you'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Although with San Diego Comic-Con, it also makes sense that the San Diego Library is
I have no problem with the library being there,
Yeah.
and I think I want to say the Anaheim Library was there.
Yeah.
And they're actually having some sort of comic or having something later in April or something, because I saw Don Wynn is going to it at the Anaheim Library. No, I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff because that's also the city you're in.
Yeah.
But just a nursing school just seemed a little out of place for me.
Yeah.
Again, nothing wrong with it, and it was a little more like a kind of more bizarre. I mean, not bizarre like Bizarro Superman, but more bizarre like walking through and people selling stuff.
Right.
That kind of bizarre, more than. I mean, there was a couple of people selling old comic books and stuff. That wasn't overwhelming either.
Yeah.
And there's the usual things you see at those places, we'll grade your comic books for I don't know how much and that kind of stuff. It just seemed really small this year to me.
Yeah.
And maybe things are jumping over at the Artist Alley.
Drop my phone.
Right. Over at Artist Alley, but just on certain parts of the floor, it was kind of empty. It's kind of disappointing. Now, there's a couple of things that always, it's fun to go to conventions because it is the industry you're trying to be in.
Yes.
And you do get to see people you know.
Yeah.
And we know a few. You know, we got to, of course, Gary Tietzel. It's not a convention unless we run into him. But we saw some people already, like Don Wynn was there.
Yeah.
I think Don Wynn's at every convention we've ever been to.
He goes to a lot.
Oh, yeah. And nothing against that. It's just we always see Don Wynn. Stephen E. Gordon was there.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Ballesteros.
Yes. Who we think will be a guest on the show this month or next month. He was there. And the usual, suspects are always there. Sean
Galloway.
Yeah. And Livio
Raymondelli.
Yeah. They always seem to see them there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we saw Steven Silver, and I actually bought something from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just didn't seem like there was a lot of things to really buy.
Not really.
Yeah, it's kind of that was a little disappointing.
Well, not anything that interested us.
Right, and then our interests are different than everybody has their own rights to whatever they want to buy. But it just wasn't a lot of things there. You go, oh yeah, man, I gotta have that.
Right.
I got that Kim Possible characters because Steven Silver actually drew those.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. Now
there was a booth that was Gachapon. Just those slots.
Right. Okay.
Capsule machines.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. You each did one.
Yeah. I did a Spy Family capsule machine.
What'd you get?
There was one that was a figure, like small figures. I got your Forger.
Cool.
I'm sure we did one where it was like small PlayStation accessories for figures.
Right.
And there were a bunch there. A lot of Spy Family, My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Although there was trouble one time with the credit machine. And I also noticed that the every so often the someone from the booth would go through and get the coins out so they could be reused.
Yeah, the tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little pricey.
Yeah, sure. So there were also a lot of Demon Slayer.
Right. It seemed a little on the pricey side, like $6 to $8 or more.
Yeah. Because it was $2 a token.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm used to, as a kid, a quarter, and you get kind of the same thing, but that was years ago, and it wasn't probably as cool. So
I know that capsule machines in Japan can also have varying prices.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like I'm sure those sort of mimicking like the 100 yen coin things.
Oh, yeah, probably. But that was kind of fun. Now you also you were there to get an autograph.
Yeah. We at $7 a pop. We got Neil Kaplan.
And he is best known as,
well,
for you,
for us, he is Optimus Prime in the 2001 Transformers series. The 2001 Robots in Disguise,
right?
Also known as Car Robots in Japan.
Now, I was there in line with you, and most people were having him sign a Funko.
Yeah.
Of a character he did in Naruto. Naruto, sorry. Got all the letters just in the wrong order.
In Naruto, he was Madara Uchiha, and we had seen him before at LA Comic Con, but didn't get his autograph then because it was like way too crowded at that point. But I feel like based on that and WonderCon appearance. People most know him for Madara.
Mm-hmm.
Although his thing also highlighted that he was Yamamoto in Bleach.
Now, but again, most people were there to have him sign a Funko.
Yeah. Well, in the case of $7 a pop, they specifically dealt with Funko Pops.
Yeah, understandable, but it was as you were saying, it's something related to what he did. It's not really what he did. Is it?
I should back and focus.
Okay.
I find it interesting with signings how most people, from my own observation, get a voice actor to sign something that's kind of related to the thing they were in, as opposed to the thing they were in. That, not that it never happens. It's just from our experience, we mostly see something related to the thing they were in.
Yeah, you try to get them to sign. You got him to sign the.
We got him to sign a season 1 or
DVD
not season
cover.
1 set because there's one season, but the thing that was a UK set that was the first half because it had Optimus on the cover.
Now he was pretty cool about signing that.
Yeah.
Now these. Now we can say controversial things when we're blurry. That's because no one can see our face.
Getting away from that.
He was. He wasn't. I'll say cheap. The autograph.
No, in general, autograph prices have been going up. As for voice actors, especially, I guess you could say legacy voice actors that have been around for decades.
Right. So
it's to the point where now $30 seems very reasonable.
yeah. But he also put an extra little thing on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, for free, so you can't come back and try to bill us later. But I mean, there was a charge for the autograph. There was a charge if you wrote
if you wanted a quote.
Yeah, and the link to the quote.
Yeah, also mattered.
Yeah.
And $7 a pop also distinguished with prices between whether you were getting something signed or you're getting a pop signed.
Right.
If you wanted a pop signed, it was another $10.
Yeah.
Or that cost $10 extra for the signature.
Well, so it's varying, like a tier of pricing depending on what you're getting and who you're getting. And some people were, the guy next to him was also the same price.
Yeah.
Which I don't know who he was, but yeah, that is sort of a tiered pricing is kind of a thing that's going to affect everybody.
Yeah.
AMC's doing it and whatever.
We have run into at TF Con, and I did run into more fairly reasonably priced autographs.
Okay. Did you get anybody there?
Well, TF Con, we got the Autobot brothers.
All right.
That was really cool.
Now, one of the things that I try to do when I go to a convention, partly so I can write it off as a business expense, is go to panels about things I'm interested in.
Right.
It was kind of slim pickings.
Yes.
This time for Saturday, there was stuff. I know there was how to get press coverage on a Friday and the other things. So I'm not saying there's no worthwhile panels.
Well, there wasn't much that we were interested in on Saturday.
Right. Now, you went to one that was about middle
grade. Yeah.
And did you learn anything about? You did learn something about middle grade. The age range is not middle school.
Okay, so they said it's kind of the name is kind of a misnomer. Middle grade, it does not necessarily mean middle school. Since the exact age range also depends a little bit, but it's generally 8 to 12. That can mean like late elementary school to early middle school.
Right. Okay.
But it's not necessarily. It doesn't. Middle grade does not mean it's aimed squarely at middle school.
So it's more like 4th through 8th as opposed to 8 through 9.
It was like grades 3 through 5, and then like maybe grade 6.
Okay.
Or something.
Right. I don't know how they do middle schools.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But middle grade is also like between chapter books in YA, and the authors on the panel actually talked about how some of them, at least one of them, had written for like other age groups, although they like middle grade because middle grade handles a certain period in someone's life where it's like they're just sort of starting to get out into the world outside of their comfort zone,
right?
Something like that. And I don't remember the exact.
That's fine. I'm not.
But it's a particular time in their life, and then also what some of them didn't like about YA was the fact that it's that realm is kind of like high school,
right,
in terms of the attitudes of the authors,
right.
Like YA authors care a lot more about like your follower count on social media, and the middle grade, it's like that doesn't matter as much.
Right.
It's kind of more chill to an extent.
I'm sure that those kids are aware of social media by that age.
Yeah,
but they're probably not living
like YA more obsessively cares about like follower count, and it's basically high school. But the middle grade, it was interesting hearing insights about writing middle grade from middle grade authors.
Okay. I went to one while you were doing that called Balancing Your Day Job and Your Passion Project, a Survival Guide.
And
it was moderated by Mallory Shoemaker and Jordan Denny Ellis, who both know each other. They both work at Adobe. They both had kind of a little vague on what their passion project. One of them was trying to print a book of poetry, and one of them got into Etsy clothing and stuff when they were a nanny in New York and had free time. And they talked about all their projects that they're working on, but in sort of general terms, not really, doing this and this and this. And I actually followed them on Twitter, like, what the hey, and wrote out one of them thanking them for the panel, but I didn't hurt back or anything. Little tear. Anyway, so they had basically 5 tips. I mean, a lot of it was about them,
right?
And they knew each other and worked together, so it wasn't. So they already kind of were pretty copacetic. So what they were saying is their 5 tips were: 1 is done is better than perfect. You want to get it done, and you could spend forever being perfect about something. It'll never be perfect.
Yeah.
So just be happy that you got it done, or try to get it done. Don't monetize everything, which is true with us. But the idea is that do projects that aren't necessarily trying to make money off of, or you're not trying to. Everything you do is not to try to make money.
Yeah.
Then there were take breaks. You need them. One of the things they were talking about is take 30 minutes to go walk or something like that. They weren't talking about taking vacation for a year away, but to sort of like not regulate your time so tightly that you can't get out of your chair and go do something. And so you need a kind of mental break. And it's, you walk around sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You kind of sometimes you think about stuff that's related to what you want to do. Sometimes it's just nice not to think about anything.
Yeah.
Pick and choose your projects. I guess they were talking about how, you can get overloaded doing too many projects.
Right.
Never get anything done. And so just sort of be selective. And then a day job does not equal failure, which I thought was nice to hear. That you can still be creative, but if you're not making a living off of it, that's still cool.
Yeah.
So pass that along, and I wrote about that in my weekly blog about writing that I do. A week in writing, just as a plug. But anyway, and then there were kind of fun panels.
Yes.
Like the
cartoon voices.
Yeah, which we try to go to pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And what did you think of that?
It was fun. The only problem was we were next near a speaker,
right?
And a couple of the voice actors were particularly loud.
Yeah, really loud.
Yeah,
which is just their style, wasn't it? It's always interesting because it's a different panel pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And he talks about all the things they do because you think of them as doing. Two things I learned was there's tons of cartoons that have been out there that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Because they're always, I was so and so and something. Hey, you know what I mean? There's just tons of stuff out there going on, which is great for if you're a voice actor.
Yes.
And that they also do other things besides do voice acting.
Yeah.
Some of them are like I guess one of the women was relating her. She does voice work at Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it's pre-recorded. You did it once, but it's her voice introducing you to It's a Small World.
Yeah.
The English voice there. It's her. I mean, and I assume she gets some sort of royalty or something from
probably.
And then one of them was an announcer on some game show, and
Price is Right. No,
it wasn't The Price is Right. It was Elizabeth Banks' show.
Right.
But I don't know the name of it off of my head.
Right.
But the guy that does The Price is Right may be a voice actor. You don't know. I know, it's fine.
Definitely the wrong show.
And then they're they do stuff, commercials and a lot of different audio books.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different avenues if you're good. And the nice thing about these is they have a range of voices. It's not just my speaking voice is because there's a lot of celebrity that you see hear in movies and stuff. It's just their speaking voice usually.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was nice that these are people that have range and can do different voices for different characters.
Yeah.
And they were doing Rapunzel.
Mark Evanier, who moderates the panel, usually has one of like 3 scripts. Yeah. And I want to say it reminded me of the Fractured Fairy Tale that was in Bullwinkle. Yeah.
So that was kind of
Press Your Luck.
Press Your Luck, okay.
The game show we're thinking of was Press Your Luck.
He does that. But so it was interesting. And this was the first time they didn't actually get through it. Usually they get through the whole thing. So he promised they'd come back and at Comic-Con. I'll be surprised if it's the same panels. But that was kind of cool. So that's always fun. Yeah. That's always a fun panel. And if you have a chance, if you're going to a comic book convention that has that, I'd recommend you do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how outside of WonderCon or Comic-Con, I don't know where else they have those.
I don't know either.
Maybe New York Comic-Con, something like that. But we don't know. So anyway, one thing that we did learn is parking can really mess you up.
Yes.
We tried to park we were going to go to a Fleischer panel, and we got down there in plenty of time, but couldn't park the car. Took an hour to find a place to park.
Yeah. So
that can be a real painful experience. It didn't need to be, really.
Yeah.
So anyway, so if you go to WonderCon, maybe you don't want to try to park at the convention center.
No.
I'll let you figure out where to park, but not the convention center. All right. So that kind of wraps it up, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about WonderCon?
I did want to say one thing about middle grade.
Sure.
Is the POV is almost always from a child, either someone who is the same age or a little older than the target demo. Is usually, I've heard, you usually want to read about someone who is around your age or a little older.
Right.
Of course, kids will read. They also mention kids will read anything that interests them.
Right.
Stephen King.
Yeah, there's always those kids that are reading that stuff.
Like they mentioned, like it is still like a child's POV.
Right. Okay.
Even though it has a lot of like horror and sexual content and stuff, it's still a child's POV. I won't get too deep into that, but so you almost never see an adult POV.
Okay, that makes sense. You're trying to imagine that it's somebody like you having the adventure.
Yeah.
Not your dad or your grandfather having the adventure. You want it to be somebody like you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's a way into reading.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
That was kind of something I wanted to bring up.
Okay, that's fine. That's just the form to do that.
So if you're watching this on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment below if you have any opinions about WonderCon.
All right. Next week is going to be our book club.
Yes.
We're doing what book?
Stray Dogs.
Right. So hope to see you back for that. Until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.